It was not long after this exact time, 17 years ago, I had finished PT, and I was stationed on Fort Belvoir at the time. My duty station was Walter Reed, and I was living on Fort Belvoir at the time. And I did PT in the morning with a platoon from Fort Belvoir. And after I was done PT, I went to the gym for another hour and then took a shower. And then I had to go to the PX for some uniform stuff and what have you. My wife had already gotten 2 of our 3 boys dressed and out the door to school. And I was standing in the PX and horns started going off. And they weren't horns that I'd heard frequently, obviously, just on drills, but so my wife sends me a text message to get home now, and I was only a few blocks away, really, from my post housing. And when I pulled up to my house, it felt like almost everybody in our little block there was in my house and on my front lawn. And I walked in the door, and my wife says, "Something's going on. I think we're being attacked. Go get the boys." So I ran back out to the car and drove to the elementary school where my boys were in, I believe, kindergarten and first grade at the time. And I went and grabbed my boys and brought them back. And I wasn't the only one. I was one of many on post that was going to pick up their kid. And I didn't even fully know what the heck was going on yet. My wife just said, "I think we're under attack. Go get the boys." So I got back home with the boys, and the person that lived next to me lived in duplexes, was a sergeant first class, and he said, "I know that your duty station over there at Walter Reed, I know you have your chain of command over there, but," he says, "right now, I've been told to muster, and you're coming with me." So I ran upstairs. I put on my BDUs, and I followed him. And we went in a 2-ton we mustered at a open field over by the vehicles, the depot, and we jumped in a 2-ton. I had no idea where he was taking me, but I don't think he knew where we were going. He just all hands on deck type of a thing. And off I went, and sure enough, we went straight to the Pentagon. And I had my cell phone. I was able to touch base with my wife periodically throughout the day to let her know where I was, what I was doing. I wasn't far from home. And checked in with my first sergeant over at Walter Reed, let him know where I was and how I got there. And he told me to stay put, that more medical people were going to be deployed over to the Pentagon shortly from Walter Reed, so I would eventually meet up with my group. And for the next 2 weeks, I didn't see my wife or kids because I was between the Pentagon and Walter Reed. Security details, medical details. You know, I was doing my job. I was doing other jobs. I was doing whatever I was told to do. And a mission that started off as a search for anyone living turned into more of a search and recovery for anything we could find. I spent 2 weeks. I was an X-ray tech back then, combat field medic, trained. And I spent a good part of that 2 weeks between doing security details and X-raying body parts for identification. And doing police call, pretty much, for those body parts. Anything we could find. Digging through rubble. But I remember where I was 17 years ago today. And I know where I ended up shortly thereafter. So I hope everybody, as I am now heading off to work myself, I hope everybody, needless to say, has a great day today. As I hope you would have every day. And I hope everybody remembers, never forgets the events of 9/11/01. I hope everybody is remembering to keep the over 3,000 lost lives and their families and the rest of this country in their thoughts and in their prayers. And I'm going to leave you with a thought. This is coming from an independent. I'm not Republican. I am not Democrat. I'm an independent. What I want everybody to keep in mind as we reflect on this date and what it represents in our history, that when those planes were flying into those buildings in New York and in the Pentagon, just outside of Harrisburg, PA, the people that were killed were Republicans, they were Democrats, they were independents, and the terrorists that committed these acts, the most heinous acts, cowardly bastards, didn't target one group over another. So when you're out there either watching a protest, participating in a protest, bad-mouthing your neighbor, bad-mouthing a group of people dressed in funny clothes and hiding their face, and hating those people because of their political ideologies and what have you, remember that the bastards that did what they did 17 years ago, they didn't discriminate. They took us all out without pride or prejudice against anything other than the fact that we were Americans. I had never experienced unity like I experienced in the months following the attack. And it didn't matter whether you were a Republican or a Democrat. It didn't matter whether or not you liked our Supreme Court Justice nominee. It didn't matter whether or not you felt AR-15s should be banned. What mattered was another American lost their lives, and it could have been you, regardless of your opinions. But the unity was there. It dissipated rather quickly. I've always been taught that you respect the office of the presidency no matter who's sitting in the chair. You may not like that person who's sitting in the chair, but this is our government. With all its imperfections, it's still the best country on the globe. Everybody wants to be here. And there's a reason for it. So keep that in mind. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week. And let's not forget, I love you all.